You're listening to the Migration Hub, Season 1, Episode 1, your go-to podcast for real conversations about studying, working, and building a future in Australia or New Zealand. Hi, it's Gloria, one of the RMAs for Migration Hub.
And hi, I'm Sue. I'm another migration agent from Migration Hub.
So Migration Hub is here so that we can talk about study in Australia or New Zealand, work in Australia or New Zealand, or come and migrate to Australia or New Zealand. Welcome.
And also we've got Andy, who's floating in the background here.
And Norris.
And Norris, who's filming us. So Gloria, can you tell me if student visas are the easiest visas to come to Australia?
Oh, that's the biggest misconception because student visa actually is not the easiest way to come to Australia or New Zealand. It's one of the most expensive, if I may say, and is the most riskiest to apply for because there are so many things that you have to meet to get a student visa, either for Australia or New Zealand. So be very careful. It's not the easiest way to come to Australia or New Zealand.
So it's best to look at all your options and then
correct.
choose which one suits your situation the most.
Yeah, because there are some skilled workers there already got qualifications and work experience, and they can come here through the skilled visa rather than a student visa.
Yeah, I've heard of people who might be professionals offshore and they come and study again. And sometimes they don't need to if they knew the other avenues.
That's correct. It's because it's widely promoted that the easiest way to come to Australia is through a student visa.
Also, Gloria, I've also heard that student visas are only for young people.
That's actually not quite true, because there's no age limit for a student visa. However, for undergraduate student visa, the colleges are actually looking at only accepting applicants under age 27. For postgrad, it's higher. So just be very careful. There's a lot of students that would like to study here and they're like 30. And then they go and enroll to study certificate or diploma. It's riskier to apply for a student visa to study undergrad courses when you're over 27.
So, Gloria, what are the biggest mistakes that students make that lead to refusals?
Yeah, okay. So there are criteria that has to be met for a student visa, i.e., confirmation of enrollment, financial, English, and then there's the biggest genuine student statement. This is where most student applicants make the mistake because they don't give a flowing story of why they want to come and study here. They either cut and paste, as Andy said earlier. They cut and paste from AI. It's not going to give the delegate the information that they want to see, whether you're really genuinely just wanting to study.
Yes, because the delegate will never see them, or they don't normally get to speak to them. So it's really important to write about your own story.
And it has to flow. Like, yes, you have to explain why you're going to study here, what your background is, what the reasons for you to go back to your country of origin. It has to match with your previous qualification or your work experience. However, sometimes you may change courses, like for young ones. It's okay to change your career, but you have to be able to explain why you're now deciding to study, say, healthcare when you've been working in business or you have qualification in business. It can be done, but you have to explain it fully. And it's no good to say, I've researched. You see, you read a lot of genuine student statements where they say, I've researched, blah, 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 but they don't show what they've researched. So it's not good enough to say, I have researched. You have to actually put your research.
Yes. Okay. That's really important. Okay. I've got another question here.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So can student visas lead to permanent resident?
Student visas may lead to PR, so it depends on what you've studied, whether it's eligible for the temporary graduate visa, because the pathway really is student visa. Then if you're eligible, you applied for temporary graduate visa. And then while you're on the temporary graduate visa, you're either gaining points for the point-tested visa that leads to PR, or gain work experience where the employer will sponsor you.
Right.
And that could also lead to PR. But it's not a sure thing.
Yes.
You have to really prepare, plan the strategy of how you get to getting the points or getting sponsored by an employer.
And it's not a magic fast process either.
No, it takes time. Like you study for 2 years and then you work for 2 years and then PR. So it could take you 5 years before you get to PR. And the point tested, it takes time.
Yeah. And sometimes your occupation might bump off a list.
That's correct. So that's the other thing too, is occupation list changes. So when agents, overseas education agents say, you have to study this or study this because it has PR pathway, by the time you finish studying, the occupation may have dropped off the list and is no longer eligible for the temporary graduate visa.
That's right. Yeah. So, Gloria, I think people love to hear real stories. Do you have any examples you can share off the top of your head?
Happy stories?
Happy stories would be nice.
Yeah. So yes, I have 2 examples of skilled, actually an engineer, already engineer in the Philippines. Even if I gave him the option for him to apply for the skilled migration visa, the points-tested visa, because he's a qualified engineer, he opted to study in Australia. And he studied a course that's related to engineering. So we got his student visa grant. Then he was eligible for the temporary graduate visa. And then he found an employer and the employer sponsored him. So that's a happy story for one of my clients.
It's a classic process as well,
Classic,
isn't it?
yep. And the other one that I could think of is a student of mine who had a bachelor in business management. But during COVID, it opened his eyes on the need for nurses. So he wrote a very good statement to explain why he wanted to shift. He was young. So he was able to explain why he wanted to shift his course, and he got his student visa to become a nurse. He then applied for the temporary graduate visa, and then while he was working, gained sufficient points, and he got invited for 189 actually. Got invited, we applied, and he was granted. So it's a PR. So those are 2 real stories for students.
They're great ones, aren't they?
Yeah.
Do you have any other stories that might be a bit more challenging, like or disappointing, or what were their options?
Yeah, well, I had one example from a few years ago wherein the student was told, just study for this course because it leads to PR. He actually got somebody to write his statement. So when the department called him for a telephone interview, he didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
He couldn't even explain what course he was studying.
Couldn't even say the name of the school.
Yes, so that was refused. So be very careful. Don't let others write your statement. If they help you, you should write the draft so that when you get interviewed, you'll be able to answer the question.
Yeah. Hey, Gloria, I was thinking before we finish here today that maybe you could list a few takeaways.
Clear takeaways. If you have questions after watching us, because this is our first episode, it's good, because that's why we're here, so that we can answer your questions rather than you posting it on social media platforms where you get incorrect answers.
Yeah.
You come and watch us when we're doing our Migration Hub podcast and send us your questions. takeaways: have your study options align with either your qualification or your work experience or family history of why you're wanting to shift your course. Clear long-term plan, because you have to explain in your statement what the benefit is of investing a huge amount of money to come and study here. What's the return?
How it will change your life.
Yeah, how will it change your life, whether it's monetary?
Yeah.
Because not only the money return, right? It's
That's
the
right.
skill that will stay with you forever. You should be able to put that in writing so that the case officer or the delegate knows, oh, this person knows why they're coming to study here and the benefit in the future.
And the delegate wants to know that.
Yeah.
And they won't know that unless you write it or tell them.
Yeah. Because like Australia is, of course, compared to other countries, we're not third world country. So, of course, the delegate will always think your purpose of coming to study here is not to study, but work. So you have to convince the delegate that you're here to study. So compare it with your economic circumstances back home, where the expenses is lower. Yeah, you earn lower than what you would earn here, but your expenses here is so much more than what it is at home. And then, of course, be wary that there are risks for student visa application. Registered migration agents cannot guarantee any visa outcomes. We will help as much as we can, but we can't guarantee. And what's the other thing? Decide based on facts. Make your decision based on the facts that we have discussed here and not from what you hear from other people.
Yeah, the genuine student statement could be considered like your very first assignment towards study. Yeah. Make sure those references are in there and evidence is...
Put some numbers, put some data in your...
percentages.
Yeah. And put the numbers of how much it costs back home compared to what it's going to cost you here. Put some units that you're going to study so that they know you've looked at what you're going to study. Put maybe facts about where you're going to live compared to where you're going to stay, how you're going to go to the school. Yeah, all those things. So you're going to show the delegate that you have researched and you're aware.
And really, they're all things that you will know the answer to if you're choosing the right program for the right reason.
And if you've researched and not cut and paste, as Andy said earlier.
Yeah, that's a big thing to remember.
Yeah.
Or AI without reading. Yeah.
So thank you for attending our first episode. Follow us on Facebook. You can book a consultation if you want. You can go to our website. There is actually a free visa assessment form that you can complete, and we can look at your circumstances. We'll see whether student visa is the right pathway for you, and then you can book a consultation with us.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
It's been nice hanging out with you.
Yeah, we'll see you again in the next episode.
Bye now.
And through all of this, I've learned something important. Migration isn't just about visas. It's about life decisions, timing, strategy, and having guidance you can actually trust.